Jim here from Village Local. Thanks for joining us for another session. In today's topic, we're going to continue the conversation around hearing health. And in particular, a lot of research has come out pretty recently that talks about the link between hearing loss and the onset of dementia. And, you know, over the last couple of days, I came across a really, really interesting article. And this article was put out by Dementia Australia, who's a peak body in Australia when it comes to topics of dementia and helping sufferers of dementia with information, advocacy, and guidance. They've produced this article, and it really highlights some really key points, which I want to rattle off with you, right? And again, it's around the topic of linking or identifying the link between hearing health and dementia. So the first point I want to raise is over half of Australians aged between 60 and 70 experience some kind of hearing difficulty, which may be very debilitating. Now, for those people over the age of 70, that number just goes up, right? So, but we're talking about the research, the study that this was taken from, it looked at those between the age of 60 and 70, half of them experiencing hearing loss. The article then goes into saying that it's important to seek assistance as soon as you can, since the earlier hearing loss is diagnosed and treated, the greater the impact of hearing interventions, okay? It's also important to seek assistance because hearing health is related to brain health. Now, I'm no hearing expert, and I thought this is an extremely important topic. So with that in mind, I thought I'd bring back Julia Yannakis, an expert audiologist who is with an organisation called Active Audiology, to share her thoughts and her experiences on this particular topic, and in particular, the latest research that does link, hearing loss and those who are experiencing hearing loss with dementia. So again, welcome back to Village Local, Julia.
Thank you.
So Julia, what's your take on this topic? It's really, really interesting research, right? I'm sure that this isn't new to you, but it's interesting to see the research has come out that's solidifying this link. What's your experience when it comes to the link between dementia and hearing loss?
Look, I think that when you first hear it, you think, oh, that's a bit alarming, surely not. But then when you think about it logically, it really makes a lot of sense. So we know that we hear not only with our ears, but also with our brain. Your brain processes the sound and interprets it. That's how we understand language. That's how we know that a baby's crying and we need to help it. It's how we know how to ignore things like trains running along the train tracks that are noisy. So our brain is constantly taking in sound and processing it. Now, if the signal that's coming in from the ears is compromised, it's too soft, it's muffled and unclear because of a hearing loss, then the brain has to work a lot harder to analyze that sound and decide if it's something important, what's the meaning of this particular sound. So already we're starting to see the picture that hearing loss will impact how much the brain has to work.
Got it.
Okay, yeah, and I do see this. Well, I mean, we see it all the time. I could ask just about every client, we will say to them, do you feel tired after you've been in a group situation or a noisy environment? And 100% of the time they will say, yes, I do, because I really have to work hard, to hear what's being said.
Yep. Exactly in line with what you're saying, right? This, going back to this article put out by Dementia Australia, it goes into saying, placing an additional load on the mental resources of a vulnerable brain as the person who has difficulty hearing works harder to decode and process the sounds. That's exactly what you're saying, right? And what you're experiencing with your clients. This additional load may mean that there are fewer resources for memory, understanding speech, and other cognitive functions. And this may lead to changes in the brain. It then goes on to say that those changes are observing similar changes to those of dementia sufferers. So in our last conversation, if you haven't checked out the last conversation I had with Julia, I'm going to put the link in this email, but Julia, in the last conversation that you and I had, you mentioned that those people who, have noticed that their hearing isn't as good as they used to be, it's not uncommon for people to take 7 to 10 years to take action to better their hearing situation. Now, with research like this that says, hey, the longer you leave it, the more risk you're opening yourself up to. And I've highlighted another point here saying, research suggests that people with mild symptoms of hearing loss may be twice as likely to develop dementia as those with healthy hearing. And it goes on to say people with severe hearing loss are 5 times or maybe 5 times more likely to develop dementia, right?
Yeah, it's just incredible. Those numbers are incredible. But what is really important is that they're saying it is a modifiable risk factor. So what that means is there are things that you can do to prevent that change from occurring down the track. And some of those things are getting a hearing aid as soon as you start to notice the signs of hearing loss. If you're feeling like people are mumbling, you're turning up the volume of the TV, you're having trouble hearing in crowds and background noise, go and see an audiologist as soon as you can. And don't think, oh, I'm not ready yet, it's not time yet, I'm too young, all these things that prevent you from taking action. It's actually, that's a negative, not a positive, because you're putting your brain under strain for longer. And other things you can do are things like listening to music, learning a musical instrument, continuing to go into those social situations. You've got to keep your hearing fit, just like you keep all the other parts of your body fit.
Great advice. So important that I do want to drill down a little bit further and re-highlight this, the things to watch out for, right? The symptoms to watch out for with those who are kind of a little bit complacent, those who, you know, have been putting on the back burner. Let's spell those symptoms out again. So let's go through them one by one. What was the first one that you said? Things to watch out?
Yeah, they would be feeling like people are mumbling or not speaking clearly.
So people are mumbling, not speaking clearly. Give me another one.
Turning up the volume of the TV or the radio.
Turning up the volume TV. Now, listen, I was on the phone with somebody, I was having a chat with somebody earlier this week. You know who you are if you're listening in, who was saying, you know what, I live alone. I wouldn't know if I'm turning the volume up too high, okay? As I mentioned, hopefully I put a smile on your face. You know who I'm talking to here. If you live alone and you know, it's not an issue. It's not a daily challenge by having the TV blaring. Ask yourself the question of, when it does come to time when you're at the shops, you may be talking to somebody and somebody's asked you a question or said something to you. If you found yourself saying, excuse me, what did you say? Can you repeat yourself? That's the telltale sign, right? That your hearing isn't as good as it used to be. So I probably stole your thunder on that third one, Julia. So
look, it might also be, you might not know whether you're turning it up or not, but even so, is it clear? Are you struggling? Are you having to put on the subtitles? Are you sort of pausing and going back, rewinding? Do you feel like, you know, a classic one is the old films were so easy to understand and so clear. And yes, of course they were. But people find the newer films really difficult to hear the dialogue. And that's another telltale sign.
Great advice. Great advice. So we've covered 3. Are there any other key things to look out for?
I think just finding it's too challenging when you go into social situations and you can't follow the conversation.
So social conversations or conversations in social environments. Okay. 4 really clear telltale signs. If you're experiencing these, particularly if you're over the age of 60, but really any age bracket, then take action. Julia, let's talk about what can people do? What are the options?
Look, the options are really come in and see an audiologist as soon as you start noticing those telltale signs of hearing loss. Have a full diagnostic hearing assessment to check the health of your ears, and then find out whether you do need to take action or whether you just need to use some strategies and strengthen your auditory skills by staying in those social environments. Really, your audiologist will advise you on the best step forward. The worst thing you can do is start to withdraw from those social situations, keep yourself at home because it's all too difficult. It really is better to keep getting out there for that brain hearing and that brain health. Got it.
For those who are older, maybe on a pension, maybe DVA, cost is a real factor here. To get that hearing test done, to get that diagnosis you're talking about, what's the government doing to break down barriers to make it easy for people to get this diagnosis?
Look, in Australia, we have got a fantastic hearing healthcare system for pensioners and DVA clients. So there's no charge for that full diagnostic hearing assessment. It's covered under the Hearing Services program. Right. So I would encourage you just to take that first step. You don't even need to handle paperwork or anything now. It's all handled online at the audiology clinic.
Everyone listening in, look, it's easy. right? It's easy. You pick up the phone, you reach out to your local audiologist. You can even reach out to your GP. You can even reach out to somebody in a village locals team. They'd be more than happy to get you on the path to bettering your hearing situation, to eliminating, reducing, bettering your hearing situation if you're experiencing a negative situation, and get you on the path to the support that you need. Look, we're taking this seriously, this topic right now, because we're going into, you know, the festive season, and in that festive season is really when a lot of this stuff comes to light. Being in social environments and experiencing these challenges really fully come to light. We're doing a whole write-up on this in this month's copy of the Senior Services Guide, right? Some fantastic information that really can guide people through accessing the support that they need, the healthcare that they need. It's a great document to have, leave on your coffee table, leave on your shelf. The resource is here. I'm going to put a link under this video where you can get your copy of the Senior Services Guide, which we're doing a feature on hearing health and the link between hearing loss and dementia, all in the guide. So get your copy here. Also, link to the Dementia Australia article, which talks about it as well. Julia, it's a pleasure as always. Thank you so much. And if anybody needs to get directly in contact with yourself or your clinic, how can they do that?
Just contact info@activeaudiology.com.au and we will get back to you. And feel free to make a time to come and see me to talk about these dementia risks and your hearing health or any other hearing related topics.
Awesome. Thanks again, everybody. Have a lovely few days, and stay safe, stay well, and chat with you soon. Bye.